Okay, good morning, boys and girls. Today in eighth grade math, I can pronounce words. We are working on finding the radius and height for our three-dimensional shapes. We've been given the radius and height and to find the volume, but now if you know the volume, how can we solve for the radius or the height? Okay, so suppose you have a cone with a radius of 4 centimeters, a volume of 506.7 centimeters cubed. We want to find the height. Okay, so first we have to remember the formula for the volume of a cone. The volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, so plug in what we actually know. We know the radius is 4, but we don't know the height, and we know the volume is 506.7. Okay, so first what I'd recommend is do this calculation. So I go to my other computer and I type in the Google calculator or any other calculator, it really doesn't matter that much. Times 4. Okay, so 1/3 times pi times 4 squared according to my calculations. 506.7 equals about 16.76 times h. Now, as always, to solve this kind of problem, we simply divide inverse operations to solve for h. Alright, so 506.7 divided by. Usually I use my cell phone calculator, but my son is playing Minecraft right now. Priorities. Also, why he doesn't want to do action for us today. Okay, the height is approximately 30.2 centimeters. Alright, so to do that, once again, you plug in what you know, then divide to solve for the height. You just have to use the correct formulas. Alright, that's how you find the height. Let's work on to find the radius, which is a little bit trickier, but not by a lot. Okay, suppose you're given a cylinder this time. You know the radius is 4.2 inches. We know the volume is 84 inches cubed. Sorry. So we wanted to find the radius. Let's make that the height. Solve for the radius. Okay, volume of the cylinder is pi r squared h. So 84 equals pi r squared times 4.2. Alright, we have to solve for r squared. So first we're going to do pi times 4.2. 13.19 according to my calculations. Then we solved for r squared by doing 84 divided by 13.19.
I want to have just
6.37. Oh. R squared is about 6.37. And now you know why I made you do square root and cube root practice. At this point, you have to take the square root of that number, because it is solved for r squared. And turns out r is approximately 2.52. Okay, so to find the radius of a cone or a cylinder, you do the same method to find the height, but you have to do the square root at the end, because r is r squared in these problems. Now that is why you need to use the square root. Let's do a sphere to figure out why you have to use a cube root sometimes.
I'm gonna fill up all of the chests I'm cutting with fish. Yes, I will recommend this one in my Minecraft world. I think it'll really like fish.
Okay, for a sphere, you're just given the volume and you want to find the radius. This one's a bit more tricky, but it's still not that difficult. Okay. So, volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So, 502.6 equals 4/3 times pi r cubed. So I'd recommend to start, you do 4/3 times pi. 4 divided by 3 times pi. And I'm being lazy and simply using the Google calculator, which is not that difficult to find. Just simply Google calculator and one will show up. 4.19. Once again, to solve for r, we divide by 4.19. $119.95. Okay, now you could use now at this point we have r cubed. You can use the same calculator I gave you that can do square roots and cube roots. Or if you're feeling particularly lazy and you just have Google open like I do, you can just simply type in cube root of 119.95, hit enter, and Google tells me, because their calculator can do cube roots. I don't know how to type that in manually. Well, I know how, but it's a bit more complicated to show you. But it's just simply 4.93. In inches. Okay, so that is how you find the missing radius or the height. Now some students ask me, Mr. Davis, can't you plug in numbers and see if it works? And yes, in today's assignment is all multiple choice. That is a perfectly valid option if you want to go through each option and type in the equation and see which one actually gives you the right volume. This is the more methodical approach, but I'm not going to disagree with you either way. Alright, good luck ladies and gentlemen. As always, ask me questions if you need it. Adios.